I'm going to be here to answer questions about hypnosis. And you are absolutely welcome to post your questions, comments, to invite friends, whatever it is you think is necessary. I am more than happy to answer your questions. And please take some time to share this with some people. I have tagged a few very valuable friends in this, so that I hope you're certainly invited to take part and listen in. And if you know someone else who is interested in hypnosis for any particular reason, please share it with them and invite them. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I am David Barron. Hi, Keith Anthony, Tony, hello, glad to see you here. I am David Barron. I've been doing hypnosis professionally for nearly about 20 years. In fact, it will be in April of 1998 is when I did the daring thing and started my own hypnosis practice. And one of the things I want to do is I want to encourage anyone else out there who wants to build a hypnosis practice to do it. If at all, learn from my mistakes, please. I have done plenty of mistakes as far as being a business person, and still persisted. There are lots of things I would like to recommend. I think one of the things I want to talk about today is just what I would do if someone came to me and asked and wanted to be a professional hypnotist. I can tell you what I did. I can tell you what I would not do, what I would learn, and what I would do differently, basically. So let's first and foremost assume that you want to be a hypnotist. The second assumption is you have training to do hypnosis. And there are plenty of good trainings out there. I have on my website, the website address is Mind Control Publishing. I'm going to put that here. Mind Control Publishing. There are some really high quality products that are there that are hypnosis oriented. These are the ones that are done by Jeff Stevens. So first and foremost, learn hypnosis. I think one of the things that successful hypnotists or hypnotists that are at least going to be successful have in common is a certain degree of fearlessness. You have to absolutely be able to decide for a moment that it doesn't matter if it's uncomfortable dealing with people. I mean, I have worked with people and encouraged people to become hypnotists who frankly just have too much social anxiety. I mean, they are not willing to go out into public. They are not willing to look people in the eye and talk with them and confidently talk about themselves. Now, if you want to be a hypnotist, that is definitely something you're going to have to deal with. And for most people who want to be hypnotists, it's not a problem. But if you feel that is an obstacle, it definitely has to be the very first thing that you build. You have to build your confidence. You have to build your presentation as an authority. And you have to build a sense of comfort to deal with people, to look them in the eye, to instruct them what to do, and to anticipate that they are going to do it. That's the very first thing you have to do. If you suffer from social anxiety and you want to be a hypnotist, please deal with your social anxiety. Because if you are going to be a hypnotist, you will deal with your social anxiety. You have to present yourself as an authority, and that means being absolutely fearless and bold. So let's assume, first of all, you have a foundational character that at least means you're willing to step out, willingly do things that are uncomfortable in order to develop a hypnosis practice. Congratulations. Let's also assume that you have at least some initial skill in doing hypnosis. And again, if you want to do hypnosis, the products that are on the Mind Control Publishing are incredibly worthwhile. I would encourage them as just the foundation. You will always be learning about hypnosis. Go ahead and start with that. It is enough to give you skill, to give you some confidence, to be able to deal with people. So you have the boldness, you have the skill. Now you have to be able to set aside the time. I would recommend you make a decision. And the decision has to be that regardless of how you're going to do it, how quickly you're going to build yourself as a professional, that you make a decision that you are going to be the leader among the very best in your field, if not the best in your location. So make that decision that you are definitely going to be the leader, and decide that you're going to be what I call the preeminent hypnotist in your area. That demands a certain degree of boldness and confidence, but it will make a big difference in the long run. I encourage you do a lot of planning. And I mean, keep in mind, this is one of the mistakes that I made. And it was a big mistake, and it held me back a lot, which is I wanted to be a hypnotist, but I did not want to be a very good businessman. That was not my priority. So I went out there and started doing hypnosis, and I didn't plan. I didn't have a budget. I had some money, but I didn't know what my expenses would be. I didn't know what I should be charging. I didn't know how many clients I should be able to see in a week in order to pay my expenses. You know, these are all central things that have to do with a business plan, and it demands the time to put aside in planning. So decide how you want to go and plan as much detail as possible. There are several ways of doing this. Let's just assume you have a job, and there are plenty of hypnotists out there who work. Their primary income is not doing hypnosis. It is something else, and hypnosis is something that definitely interests and fascinates them. There are people who have their own businesses. Hypnosis is something they do on the side. Decide what is going to be the amount of number of clients, the amount of income that you're going to need as a hypnotist to end this other job, if that is what you want to do. If you get more than enough hypnosis clients, you won't be able to do anything else. So make that decision and start detailing it. I say this to people who want to start hypnosis practice is do what I did not and get a business coach. Get a business coach, sit down with them. They're going to ask you some incredibly detailed and uncomfortable questions so that you will understand every detail of your business. I mean, you have to know what percentage of every hypnosis client, the income is going to go to advertising, to website maintenance. You're going to know every expense that is there. I mean, there are expenses you wouldn't anticipate. Obviously, internet, website, advertising, rent. Decide and uncover every detail about your business. Now, that said, there are some really great ways to start a business with a very low income. You don't have to throw a lot of money on top of something in order to build a hypnosis practice. One of the things that I have found, that I have worked with, I'm even tempting to develop now even further, is something that's called executive offices. And executive offices are basically offices that are available to rent by the hour. If you get a contract with one of these executive offices, they will give you a phone number that will be your business phone number. They will answer the calls themselves and transfer the call to you as if you're in another room picking up the phone. So they will answer the call exactly how you want them to answer. So you could say, Preeminent Hypnotist LLC, how can I help you? And they'll say, yes, let me transfer you over to David. And they'll transfer the call. They will give you a physical address for mail and to get your Google listing. And a good, exceptional office, executive office will also have offices at which you can actually sit and have people as your clients come in and do hypnosis. Now, I encourage that you look around, look for virtual offices, executive offices. In larger cities, you're going to find these. Some of them you won't. One of the cities nearer me, Boise, Idaho, it does have some executive offices. And some of these executive offices are franchises. One of them, I think, is called Regis. Another you can find is called Intelligent Offices, and they are in the bigger cities around the world. But you can always start, and the wonderful thing about it is you'll have a very minimum rental expense. You will have to pay for your phone number and for the answering service. But whenever you have a client, you're only going to be renting a room for 1 hour. And you can pretty much, under a good service, you can pretty much have it set up how you want. So you can go in, you'll see this client for an hour. They will not know that you're renting by the hour. Excuse me. They won't know you're renting by the hour. So it will maintain the professional appeal. And I think you could, I'm fairly confident you could do something like this with the phone number, with the mail service, with the answering service. Usually it's around $200 a month, which is entirely reasonable. Now, while you're doing that, you will have to do your own footwork and start getting your clients. And again, this demands that you be absolutely fearless and go out and do it. Jerry Kine, who was a really incredible hypnotist, I think he died last year. He started Omni Hypnosis in Florida. One of the things I remember him recommending, and it's not bad advice, is get a brochure. Let me give you my brochure. Get a brochure. Now, he didn't even recommend high quality brochure like this one. Now, you can get a brochure like this from Vistaprint fairly inexpensively. And you start where your business is located, and you start a spiral, and you go to every business, every house. You very quickly introduce yourself. Hello, my name is David. I have a hypnosis practice here in town. I'm simply introducing myself. I'd like to give you this. Even if it means laying it on the table or talking to the secretary. And the wonderful thing about saying that you're a hypnotist is that people are going to say either, oh, wow, you do hypnosis? Or they're going to say, oh, wow, you do hypnosis. And it sort of frightens them. Either way, it's a great opportunity to talk. And you don't have to sell them on hypnosis. What you are selling is a result. In fact, I wrote a very short advertisement that anyone here is absolutely welcome. Anyone here is welcome to use. And it reads like this. My name is David Barron. I've been helping people professionally as a hypnotist for over 20 years. When you come to me, you're not coming for hypnosis. You're coming for a result. You want to be free of cigarette cravings. You want to lose weight. You want to be free of stress and post-traumatic stress and anxiety. That is why, as my client, you will never pay for hypnosis. You will only pay for a result. If you come in with a craving for a cigarette and you want to quit smoking, you will get the result. At the end of the session, if you followed my instructions, and if I've done my job, I will ask you to try to crave a cigarette, and you will not want a cigarette, no matter how hard you try. That is the result you're paying for. So that's a little, you are absolutely welcome to steal that and borrow that in your advertising, because I find this out repeatedly, is people are not paying for hypnosis. What they're doing is they're paying to get a result. So you're not selling hypnosis. You are selling them freedom from smoking. You are selling them control in their life. You are selling them the peace of mind to be free of a habit. You're selling them freedom from anxiety. You're selling them something else. So the mistake I have done, and I find myself doing it all the time, is having a big banner that says hypnosis. And the big banner should really say, quit smoking, lose weight, free yourself from anxiety. That is what the things that you have to sell. So again, if you're going in with your flyer and you're introducing yourself to people, talk about the results, not about what hypnosis is. Hypnosis is a really fascinating subject. And so if they ask you about it, of course, give them all the details. Tell them everything you know about hypnosis. But then always end it or ask about, what would be the things, the changes that you would want most in life. That is what's going to benefit you the most when you're developing your business. And leave them a brochure, try and get one of their cards, and most of all, try and remember their name and follow up with them. So if, again, you're not trying to sell them, what you're trying to do is develop a relationship. I say this, and it always gets a smile when I'm handing out one of my business cards. I will say, here, go ahead and here's one of my cards. This is what I do. I'll say, here's one of my cards. And here's another one in case you have any neurotic friends who could use my service. You know someone who wants to quit smoking? You know someone who complains about their cravings? That's for them. And when I say if you have any neurotic friends, well, first of all, everyone has a neurotic friend. Everyone's friend is probably neurotic as well. So they definitely start to think of other people. And if they ask specifically about stopping smoking, ending chewing tobacco, weight loss, if you have a story about someone you worked with, tell the story. Tell this person's story. Not that it's because of you, but it's because this is what this person experienced. Don't use their name. That is a sort of a violation of, hypnotists are not under HIPAA laws, but it is an ethical violation. So don't tell their name, but just describe their story. And early on, if you've learned hypnosis well, you're going to get some really crazy and amazing stories. My most recent one, and honestly, I've been doing this 20 years, and when I get an awesome result, I should not be surprised, but I love it. It just overjoys me. I act with, it just tickles me. and I get these a lot, but I'm never tired of them. I had a client, her scale only went up to 300 pounds, and she was well over that. I did the very first session, the typical session that you'll learn from, the hypnosis session that's on my, hypnosis training that's on my website. She came back a week, she'd lost 8 pounds. No cravings, it's amazing, she says, what happens when you quit eating crap. And, even though I'm always surprised and overjoyed by it, I encourage them. I always let them know that, of course, these are very natural responses. This is what happens when you change at the subconscious level. The next week, after that, so this was after the first session, the second session, she lost 8 pounds. I saw her a week after that, and she lost a total of 25 pounds in 3 weeks. And she was well on her way to her goal. Making those changes at a subconscious level like that are very dramatic. And when you do hypnosis and you start getting results, it should always be grateful and amazed and encouraging. One of the things that I think is important to learn early on, if you're going to develop a relationship with anybody, a client, a friend, a spouse, is understand how much this person wants to be validated. They want to know that the good things they think of themselves are in fact true. And they want to know that if they don't have good things that they think of themselves, that there are people who see good things in them. That is validating. So, when I hear someone say, yeah, I've lost 25 pounds, and I said, and it's been 3 weeks. Isn't that awesome? You are doing great. This is going to be so easy for you. And when I said that to her, she said, it's really easy. So again, remember how much people want to be validated. And as long as you can do that, you're going to have people liking you, remembering you, and referring to you. Okay, so let's go back to what we were talking about, which is about just building your hypnosis practice. I highly recommend you start with an attitude of preeminence. And preeminence means, it does not mean the premier. I remember speaking to some marketing people, and I said, I want to be the preeminent hypnotist in the area. And I don't know if they made notes, but they started to advertise me as the premier hypnotist in the area. And I quickly told them, I am not the premier hypnotist. That means the newest. I'm the preeminent. The preeminent means the best. The one hypnotist that all other hypnotists are deciding to compete against. Take that as a mindset. I mean, when you have that in your mind and you know that that is what you want to accomplish, that you want to achieve, everything else starts falling into place. You start to demonstrate it in how you present yourself, how you talk about yourself. You start to present it not just in the words you say, but in your behavior and in everything else. If you are developing yourself as the preeminent hypnotist in your area, make a point that your website demonstrates it. And I don't mean just says the preeminent hypnotist in this area, but demonstrates it. There's a huge difference between those people who will tell you what you want to believe and those people who demonstrate it. You want to be the kind of person who demonstrates it so that people will see you and make that assumption without you having to tell them. So there are a couple ways to do that. The biggest and the best way is to get your shit together. get your shit together, pack it together really tight, put it in a backpack, and carry it with you. That means being able to have your bills paid so you're not distracted by bills. It means having your bed made, your house clean. It means all the things that no one else sees, so that you become a person who feels in control of their life. And it's not something that happens quickly. It's something that happens over time, but it happens with consistent, persistent, and also very insistent effort over time. You're always paying attention to the details so that your life is simple, it's in order, and that you know you're doing something that's going to contribute to your peace of mind, that you have control of your life. That is one of the very best ways to demonstrate that you are a person that can be trusted, that you're a person of authority, that you have your act together, and people will trust you as a hypnotist if you just start to demonstrate that in your life. So I hope that makes a bit of sense. There are several people here. Actually, we have more people here than I've had in many of these Q&As before. So understand if you have any questions about developing your hypnosis practice or hypnosis in general. I am here to do it. I am here to answer any questions you have. And so far, again, I've been talking about how to really grow your practice. And most of it has to do with from the inside. It starts with making a decision. When I started, going back in my distant history, when I started learning hypnosis, I was interested in it because, honestly, I wanted to know that you could actually influence people and mess with their minds. I guess I got to be honest about it. I wanted to know that mind control was possible, and so I went deep into that end, in all the ways about picking up women, convincing people to do things, and sometimes even convincing people, or at least knowing I could convince people to do things that were not in their self-interest. Now, once I figured out that that is possible, I was no longer curious whether I could do it. I wanted to see how much I could help people. That should be a very strong motivation as well. So that's how I started. And one of the reasons I started a hypnosis practice is because I figured it was the only way I could be as good as I wanted to be at it. The fascinating thing about hypnosis is there is really no end to the amount of learning. I've been doing this for 20 years. I am now writing a book on the hypnosis process that I use. And what I realized in writing this book is that everything I've done when I started doing hypnosis has evolved and changed. And what I do now compared to 20 years ago when I started is entirely different. I still get really good positive results, but small dramatic changes have happened very gradually as I do hypnosis and the whole hypnosis process. Keith Anthony, I love what you said. You must be conceited because you wanted to improve people's minds to make them as good as yours. I like that. That's great. But for me, for me, what I've noticed is the hypnosis process, based on new things that I've learned, based on ideas and assumptions that I want to apply and test out, I find that some things work incredibly well that I've never heard before, and I apply them to the hypnosis process. And sometimes I just get bored and I want to do something different, and I find that works out really well. There is something that I want to share with you. It is part of a hypnosis process. that works incredibly well, and you do not have to use it on hypnosis. You can use it, you can design a way to do it very covertly. And what it does is it covertly puts your voice in the other person's mind as their voice of authority. I'll just go through the process. I'm going to assume that you are the hypnosis subject or the client, or maybe just an unwitting friend who I'm talking to. And this is sort of the pattern that I use. You know, we all want to do the right thing. It would be nice if we had in our head a voice that just told us the right thing to do. Now, that's a great theory, but it's not something we really put into practice. But just assume for a moment, just pretend that you have a voice in your head that you know will always tell you the right thing to do. So that if it spoke to you, if it said, stop, pay attention, you would just immediately drop everything, focus right in. Now, this could be a voice of someone that you know and respect. It could be a voice you just create in your mind. So it could be a man's voice or a woman's voice. It could speak to you loud and commandingly or soft and passionately. I mean, for me, I imagine the voice of Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, and he says, stand up, pay attention, focus in. And immediately I just do it. But for this moment right now, just create in your mind, imagine, just engineer in your mind exactly the kind of voice that you would want to follow. When you have that in your mind, just let me know. At that point, I just pause. And you'll notice that they do a little transderivational search. They sort of look around and sort of think of the voice. And then they'll go, all right, good. Yeah, I got it. I'll ask them, okay, tell me about your voice. Tell me about this voice. This voice is an ambiguity. I'm trying to associate my voice with their voice. So I say, tell me about this voice. And they'll describe it. And again, it could be their grandmother or their mom or just a voice that speaks to them. It could be a man or a woman. It could be anything, but I want them to describe it because I want them to make it more real. Describing it will do that. Then I say, okay, now, just imagine a time that you just did something stupid and you felt embarrassed. Go to that moment. Just put yourself right there. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt. And now bring this voice in and let it speak to you and tell you exactly the right thing to do. So that moment passes and you feel fine. When you've done that, let me know. And you shut up, you give them the time to do it in their head. I'll tell you, okay. And then I'll ask them, okay, what did it say? And how they respond to me is going to tell me what the things I need to say to them. Then I have them do that process again at another event where they felt embarrassed or anxious or something like that. I do that, have that a couple of different times. And from that point on, if you want to do this covertly, just start referring to the voice in their head with the words, this voice. And when you say this voice, point to your mouth, this voice. Now that's a very covert way of doing it. In hypnosis, I use this to lead into the hypnotic induction. And imagine this voice telling you to just take a deep breath and close your eyes and go ahead and do that. And they do it. From that point on, I don't really have to talk about their voice of authority. because my voice has taken that place. And again, that was just something I came up sort of thinking about. I have a pattern called the voice of authority pattern. And I learned that from Mark Cunningham. This is something I just sort of evolved so I could very covertly have them create a very strong, meaningful voice of authority in their head, and then associate it with the words that I say and how I speak to them. So I want to just offer you that. I want you to go out and test it. I have not really done it covertly very much. It's not difficult to do covertly. I usually do something like that when I'm doing public speaking. I haven't done it one-on-one very much at all, just because I have a pretty fulfilling family life and I don't get out very much. So that's about it. You guys, let's see, do you have any questions here? Scione, thanks for the comment. If you guys have any other questions, comments here, I'm going to just stick around for just a couple of more minutes. And if there's something that I can answer more directly, you're always encouraged to answer it here. If you're watching this and the broadcast is somewhat pixelated, I always encourage you to come back and view it. For some reason, once the server has it and compiles it together, it's a lot easier to view on replay. So, okay. I'm going to assume this, I will take it as a serious question, even though there's an LOL. Keith Anthony says, how can I stop being conceited? LOL. Okay. Actually, I'm not entirely certain that is a bad thing. What I do, what I try to do, at least, is make as little of the conversation about me, and all the things that I think about myself, I don't want to say them, but I really think about how am I going to demonstrate them without words. It seems that is the big difference. Conceit really is about talking about how good you are, as opposed to just shutting up and demonstrating it through your actions and let other people assume it. So that would be my suggestion. I mentioned this before, and I've had to explain it to a couple of people, which is, it is not a comfortable thing for me to talk about myself and my achievements, simply because that can come off as very conceited, and I don't value that. I would rather demonstrate all the grandiose things that I believe about myself in my behaviors and not in my words. So you can stop being conceited by just shutting up. Demonstrate what you think about yourself. I hope that's a great answer. Guys, as I try to remind you, I want to do this every week. You will find this here at the Advanced Hypnosis Skills Facebook page. And I try and do it every Saturday at this hour. I will spend as much as an hour doing this. And if it goes longer than that, great. But if there's a point where I've talked myself out, and I'm quickly reaching that point right now, I'm just going to wrap it up. I'm going to hope you've gotten some great value out of this. I am asking you, if you do have value of this, please share it, contribute to your friends. I do believe that Facebook, if you have a camera set up, I have an understanding that maybe Facebook can do a sharing feature. I haven't tested it out. I would love to try it. So it would be a live sharing feature. Two people would be conversing at the same time. If you have a setup like that, please let me know. It would be really sort of fun to test it out. But guys, this has been more of the fun things, one of the more fun events that I've done here. So I want to thank you. Oh, I see. Apparently that sharing feature only works on iPhones. I'm going to try and test it out. So make a point, please, in your calendar. Next week, this time, the top of the hour. Oh, I should remind you, I am probably not going to be here next week. I have a commitment. I'm doing a fundraiser for someone else. It's going to take up most of the weekend. So I'm not certain that I'm going to be here. Maybe I will. I will certainly announce it if I can be here. But make a note to check it out. And between now and then, if there's any topic you want me to speak on, please you can send it to me. You can actually add it in the comments here of this video, and I will do my best to address it next week. And I remind you, because you are here, you're not somewhere else. You're right here. And you took some time to be right here. You made a sacrifice. I'm very grateful for that sacrifice. I want to give you value out of this. Please, thank you for that sacrifice. Share this, if you would, with whomever you think will benefit. And next week, this hour, I hope I will see you again. Thank you so much.